Hello, y'all. How y'all doing? I'm Eric Thomas,
What's up, everybody? I'm Jaquita Thomas.
and we're co-founders of Pharaoh's Conclave, and we are new to the Live Hip Hop Daily family, and we're bringing to you the GameFi podcast.
Yes.
So again, I'm welcome you guys. Once again, this is the first time that we brought this, and interestingly enough, why GameFi?
So one thing about the gaming community, well, let me start before that by saying what GameFi stands for. GameFi stands for gaming, anime or art, music, esports, and film. One of the things that we've discovered over the many years that we've been running our company, Pharaoh's Conclave, which focuses on the esports industry, is that all of these communities are really, really connected. Typically, gamers love anime and comic books and art and music. Gaming and hip hop go hand in hand. So we really wanted to create a forum that would allow for us to explore all of these different aspects together, and showcase some artists and creators within those spaces that you may not be familiar with, but that you should become familiar with.
And with that said, in the tradition of one of our favorite movies, Brown Sugar, I'm going to ask you this leading question. So, Dr. J, when did you fall in love with video games?
I actually fell in love with video games when I was 7 years old. I was in the second grade in my school's computer lab. I had a computer at home, but it didn't have any really cool games on it. And so one day a week, they'd let us go to the computer lab at my school. Shout out to Oak Grove Elementary, Eagles. And I would play games like Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, the Oregon Trail, all the old school ones. Shout out to all the 80s babies. And so that's really where I fell in love with gaming. Those games there. Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego, all of those. So
that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, no doubt.
Where in the World, Where is Time.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. They also had a TV show.
They did.
With the a cappella group. They used to sing the theme song.
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Man, they was killing that thing.
For sure.
And so with that, GameFi is the name of the podcast, and we're doing this in segments. So our first segment is going to be about the gaming industry. And we have a special guest. His name is Ron Jones with Indie Cluster. Yes. And we're going to pull him in, and we're going to chat for a little bit.
Absolutely. Learn a little bit about his story.
All right.
Yay.
Hey, Ron, how's it going? And as usual with with Zoom, we can't hear anything. I don't think that's on you. It's actually probably on us with our laptops here. We're gonna hear his audio while we're doing this.
Let's see.
So you're good. Just hold on for a second. We have to turn up our end, and we're probably gonna need to bring headphones next time for ourselves. So,
really?
Yes, because if he talks, then you're gonna hear him through our microphone.
Oh, I hear you. Let's see. Let's try this. Shallow. Nope.
I know if I turn mine on, but it's gonna pick up everything.
Yeah, but I have mine on too. So turn yours on, cause it's coming through the system, right?
Yeah, I got the.
All right, Ron, try one more time. Let's see if we got you.
He's on mute.
It shows you yours.
To unmute.
I did. S2. There it is.
Hey,
go for
up?
it, Ron. Hey, we in there.
Come on, technology.
Awesome. All right. J Black, is this sounding crazy?
I can hear you. This is good though, but I like to get the audio from Zoom.
Oh,
okay,
cool.
Because it will produce just an audio file. Yes.
Perfect. We're in the house. We are in the house. Go ahead.
You guys are still muted.
Oh.
Oh yeah, we sure are. Both of us are. I'll unmute since I'm recording. Hey, what's up?
I'm laughing because this is funny. Actually, let me unmute, not yours. Let me do it. Let's use mine. That way, as I'm talking, we don't get the feedback.
Yeah, that's true.
All
Good
right.
point.
All right. We're figuring this thing out, Ron. All right.
First day.
Here we
growing
go.
pains.
So, Ron, Jones of Indie Cluster. We're just gonna throw you a softball.
First of all, welcome.
Oh yeah, welcome,
Welcome to
welcome,
GameFi.
welcome. And so, tell us a little bit more about number one question. In the tradition of brown sugar, and probably after this episode, I'm gonna stop saying brown
Please,
sugar.
yes, that'd be good.
But in the tradition of GameFi, when did you fall in love with video games?
Um, it's kind of hard to pinpoint honestly, because I grew up with video games.
Tell us
I
the
guess
story.
with my generation, I grew up with the NES or the Super NES. I grew up playing the original Tetris, playing Super Mario Brothers, and not beating it. uh, and I would probably say maybe like the first kind of shift that I had of video games being so personal to me was when my parents bought me a Game Boy for my birthday. So I had the original Game Boy. I had Tetris, Super Mario, Zelda, and Pokemon. So that was kind of like that was probably like the first time I owned video games in my life. You know, but ever since there, and it's not like I'm an avid like I play video games all the time, but like I seem to connect uniquely to certain games at certain time periods in my life. So I would say that's when it started.
Awesome, awesome. So, with that, and that's like my favorite word, with that, all of a sudden, I don't know what's going on. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you're doing right now.
So as far as personally, or like more about the business, or
Well, you
Both.
got this awesome T-shirt that says Indie Cluster, so I'm very interested in what that's all about.
okay, so yeah, so fast forward high school and college and whatnot, I ended up going to the Art Institute of Atlanta to study video game art and design. And then got through that curriculum, met some great teachers, some great peers of mine, and some great industry folk. And after graduation, because of lack of certain jobs in the area, I kind of had to turn that into a hustle, right? I didn't necessarily want to go to California, where it's, the industry was a bit more volatile. So I decided to stay here in Atlanta, and just make games on my own, just to get better, to practice here and there, because I was always interested in design, and I kind of saw myself having a future in that. So, being an developer at the time, as the indie industry was booming, I'd noticed a need of resources and a kind of a connectivity for all of these I guess these games and these projects that was soon to come out. At that time, it was basically flooding the market, and that was before the whole idea of the indie apocalypse of just the market being so oversaturated with everything free on the internet when it comes to resources and tutorials. Everybody's making a video game, right? So kind of saw all of that, and wanted to kind of put together an initiative to help people, honestly, like myself, that wanted to just focus on making something cool, something great, something unique, but didn't necessarily have the connections or the resources or the influencer friendships or whatnot, the millions of dollars that it takes. So we built the Indie Cluster as an organization, a platform to help people kind of connect to each other, help developers share tips and tutorials, favorite portals, and then also based on some of our experience, able to provide services to developers, and we're able to build our business model off of that.
That's really dope. Can you say a little bit more about what it took to actually start the platform and what it took to actually get Indie Cluster kind of off the ground?
Sure.
Sure.
So
So, um, one thing that I had to keep reminding myself is how we basically got our start is accessing or taking advantage of an opportunity that was presented to myself that I didn't necessarily have uh, I guess, have the I guess not necessarily the, the talent or the brain, but it was basically an opportunity that I saw somebody else fitting better. I saw a number of people kind of fitting better, but they didn't necessarily know anything about it. So it was opportunities like that just kept coming. I kept having to be in the right room at the right time. So how it really got its start, I was basically thinking about uh, some kind of group or collective, whether it's a Facebook page, whether it's a hashtag or something that can um, uh, document or act as a directory, if you will, for independent games here in Atlanta. And as I was kind of thinking about that, mulling it over, seeing what might be best, Andrew Greenberg of the GDA, Georgia Game Developers Association, was actually looking for someone similar to kind of head up an indie section in the local conference Siege. So we ended up
Right.
having, and he was one of my first video game teachers. That was back in '07. So I've had a pretty good
Oh
uh,
wow.
relationship, mentorship with him for a while now. Um, so yeah, we was kind of talking it out, and we basically pitched each other the idea at the same time. So we had our first run. Um, we had an indie section at the expo hall at Siege, and then it was kind of my idea to just kind of grow that for more than just a booth at one event. So kind of wanted to be more of a helpful service, more of a community that can just grow and kind of and take you know take win, if you will. So that's kind of how the
That's
first one kind of started, and that's really been our base here in Atlanta. So that's our foundation.
that's pretty cool.
It is.
And with that, what are some of the obstacles that you've come across, and how did you overcome some of those obstacles? Because I know it's pretty hairy out there.
right.
Right. Besides obviously personal obstacles and dealing with self, trying to conquer yourself, and learning about humility, all this other kind of stuff, and your drive, and all of us as creators, we imposter syndrome, all that kind of stuff. All of that aside, I think some of the obstacles the business had to go through was actually defining what it was.
Hmm.
Um, and part of that, half of that was, I would say, was the change of the market. We because we were always uh, an organization that did what others didn't or chose not to do. That
Right.
was always growing and developing, and the indies themselves and the industry themselves, new things were coming out. So our first cluster, I believe, was 2014, and you know, a number of things that just came out. I think Minecraft at that time probably had just gotten sold to
Hmm.
Microsoft to put indies on the map. Um, I think um, Greenlight from Steam just went away, so that kind of flooded the gates. A lot of the new famous tutorial YouTubers was probably just getting started or wasn't even around at that time. So it was a market that was changing, and people were from all over were trying to figure out how to monetize it, and
Right.
what was going to be stable and whatnot. So we was kind of doing the same, um, basically just trying to fill what people's needs were. We tried attempted a podcast, we attempted a game jam at some point, and we found out our issue, or not an issue, but our a dilemma of ours was figuring out how to keep developers coming back, because oftentimes indies, um, they show up when they need something,
Right.
uh, because they have like a resources. So they're here for one thing, they can't necessarily afford to stay for the long run, right? So as long as that transaction is stable, we can have a stable influx of clients.
Yeah.
So for the individual, we wanted to kind of tap into that and see if there was any way that we can increase our engagement with that individual by offering more passive services. Um, so yeah, so half kind of the market and half we were kind of growing to find out what we can afford to give, what we can afford to put a paywall behind, and really what we did. We really want to be a nonprofit? Is that what we actually were? Can we afford the paperwork and the staff and whatnot?
Facts,
So
facts. Oh,
there's
man.
there's definitely a lot as a new business, as a startup, trying to find our footing in a market that isn't necessarily stable.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I have two kind of questions. One is, where are you based? Like, where are you from originally? And the second one is, what kind of advice would you have for indie game developers who are looking to, figure out, how do I break into this industry?
hmm So I'm originally from Queens. I always get
Oh,
I always get crap when I talk about where I'm
Yes.
from. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Originally from Queens, but I moved when I was 7. So I say I grew up in South Carolina, because that's kind of, went through middle school, high school, all that kind of stuff. And then once I graduated high school, Anderson, South Carolina, T.L. Hanna, I came to Atlanta in '07, and that's basically kind of that next chapter of my life. So all my game career and that whole era has been since I've been in Atlanta, and I've been here ever since. So the business kind of got its foothold here because it kind of grew out of the community that we've been able to establish here. Because it's much like a family environment. We're kind of big, but not so big. So it's kind of developed this inner um, inner I guess intermingling type of web of success that we've all kind of had to play a
yeah,
part in.
ecosystem.
Right. Um, so yeah, that's kind of, I guess that's kind of how that was able to come about. And as far as advice for indies, I think adaptability. Hopefully, some of the things I said about the business already can show how being able to adapt, being able to do your own research and learn from really anywhere is important. It's just a good, um, I guess, attribute of life, really. But if you really want to kind of be be commercially successful, um, you definitely want to be able to kind of find out what trends you might want to ride, who might be making games like you, ways you can monetize so you can survive and actually make sure your game gets out the door and not uh, not bankrupt, but basically your lights getting cut off before you actually release. So that's in today's market. I would advise that, as well as
Accountability. Accountability.
yeah, as well as just passion. You're not necessarily going to you can't go into it thinking that you're going to make money. Really, you can't go into it thinking that you're going to make Minecraft. You definitely might have a hit on your hands. You definitely might have a great idea, do a lot of fun, but success, you really have to find your own definition. It's not always going to be about the money. It's
Yeah.
not always going to be about being bought by EA or having like a million followers or viewers on Twitch or whatnot. There's nothing wrong with creating something unique and then kind of fully letting that blossom into its own thing. So
Right.
that's you kind of have to have that relationship with each of your projects, because you're gonna have more than one project. once you learn how to finish something, that's really going to be the test if you can keep going and if you can kind of enjoy the journey, not just the success part.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, the journey is what it's all about.
And so, Ron, now that you've dropped all of those wonderful gems, those huge, humongous gems,
Pearls.
pearls, and everything else, what do you have coming up, and what can we look forward to seeing coming out of Indie Cluster?
And how can people find you?
So you can go to indiecluster.com. We're actually rebranding or revitalizing our website to be a bit more shifted towards our new business model, which is based on memberships. So look forward to that as far as we can give a more directed personal outlet for our services for that studio, for that indie team. But you can also, just go to the website and follow our Twitter, all our social media and Facebook and whatnot. Also our newsletter, just to keep up with, everything that might be going on. Me personally, I'm an artist and game developer myself. I kind of push all my projects to the back end because the business is kind of, it's exciting for me enough to create something that other people can kind of feed off of, and so I can sustain myself by watching other people's success for now, at least, until I can find the time to work on my own projects. But I'm actually currently working on a Valentine's game that I'm trying to release within the next couple weeks or so. But we'll see about that. I also have a coloring book I want to work on for Black History Month. But that's all.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome.
That'd
That's
be
what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
So
we'll
dropping
have
A
to-
here.
We'll have to have you. We'll have to have you back on once it's ready.
Definitely. And you brought up something cool too, Ron. You just talking about the business and Indie Cluster and being an independent developer. What age can you start? And I get this question all the time. How old can you be in starting this, and when should you start?
You can literally start at any age. If you can understand what a keyboard is, if you can understand how to create objectives and find fun on paper, then you can start as soon as you start talking. But I would definitely advise anybody, or I would definitely advise any child, any student, any parent to get their kids interested in video games to definitely look into local online classes, summer camps, workshops, anything like that, because one of the beautiful things that I learned about when I was learning this industry and learning how to make games is it's literally just a different way of thinking about life, understanding code, and it's honestly something that anybody could pick up, like uh, learning a second language, which I always kind of compare it to. That's kind of how I understood what I was programming, by you're just talking to a computer, and that's really the way that if you can think like that, then you'll start, uh, comparing apples and oranges, if you will. Say if you want to put your kid into Spanish classes or this or that, try a coding class or try some of the things that they can actually not that they can't monetize off other things, but getting your kids into a coding class, I believe is definitely a strong career opportunity, can lead to something further on in the future. And whether they just want to make video games or they just want to understand world a little bit better, it's really something that I advise people to get into as soon as they can.
Sure.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
No
That
doubt.
is a message that we like to give out to our parents, especially when it comes to this. Well, Ron Jones with Indie Cluster, we thank you for coming. We thank you for being a part. We're looking forward to that coloring book and have you back out with us.
And that Valentine's Day game. Let's talk about that.
And that is next week, but I don't know if it'll be ready by next week.
It
but-
will. It will. Positive vibes. Positive energy.
Yeah, we got to put it out in the universe, right?
That's right.
Hey,
So,
we'll do it.
I
Hey, and
appreciate
I'll
it, guys.
play it. I'll play it. I remember the first game that I met with Ron. He had this hip hop game. It was like aliens, and they were shooting down the city and all that kind of stuff. And that's my favorite game from him. So I'll see about that Valentine's Day. I'll give it a chance.
Awesome.
Awesome. Appreciate you, and we'll be looking forward to what and we'll be in contact as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, Ron.
Thank you guys.
All right.
Take care.
Thank
Take
you.
care. You too. That was awesome. He dropped some serious nuggets on that one.
I think that might be the first time I ever heard Ron talk that much.
Yeah, no doubt. That's cool though.
All right, so
nuggets
we'll take a break right here.
Yeah.
And then we'll be right back with our next segment, which will be the art segment.
Yes, come on, GameFi.